Okay, we might as well start. You should have away and you brought. All right. We're learning Torah Sanach Beis, and we have learned the first paragraph that it is through the eating of a Jewish person when his emunah is on the level that causes something which is called Yichud Kucha Brichu Ushchinte. What does that mean? Kodesh Baruch Hu, Kucha Brichu is a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and Shchinte is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. So what's the difference between the two? What do you mean it to become one? The answer is Kucha Brichu Hu is Kiviyah Kodesh Baruch Hu the way he is, endless, impossible to perceive, and so forth and so on. The Shechina is the presence, the expression of Kodesh Baruch Hu, the way we can perceive it in this world, from the wonders of creation, from the nisim that the tzaddik can perform. All these things are all expressions, they're all revelations of Kodesh Baruch Hu. But then Kodesh Baruch Hu is hidden. So, but when there is a unification of Kucha Brichu and the Shechina, that in this world, the perception of Kodesh Baruch Hu and the Kodesh Baruch Hu and his perceptions become one. This is what Chazal said. Bayomahu, in that day, in other words, in the future, Yashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to be one, and his name is going to be one. What does it mean? Chazal says, what? That today is not one? Kodesh Baruch Hu's name is not one thing? This is no. He said, Kucha Brichu, Hashem Echad is Kucha Brichu. Though he is outside the limitations. Ushmo is the way Kadosh Baruch Hu is inside the world. Then they will be identical. That is mean Kucha Brichu B'Yom Hashem Echad Ushmo Echad. It'll all be one thing. Now, until then, Rabbeinu says it's not just that when a person is in the proper level of emunah, Rabbeinu will teach us how to get there to this kind of level of emunah. It's not an easy thing, obviously. Rabbeinu is saying that the Yichud Kucha Brichu, there are many kinds, many levels of the different levels of Yichud Kucha Brichu, how they become one. Everything has, Panim ve'ocher is from the front and is Kaviyah from the back. Panim means a full exposure. In the back, that means that it's dimmed. So sometimes, when the Kodesh Baruch Hu is, we say that the Yichud of Kucha Brichu and Shchinte is, let's say, Ochar be'Ochar. So the shining of Kucha Brichu is dimmed, and the perception of the Shechina is dimmed. It's a low level, as it were, a low level Yichud. Then there is also a level of Yichud where it's Panim be'Ochar, means that the beam of Kucha Brichu is full, is Pchinas Panim. But the perception of the Shechina is Pchinas Ochar. In other words, it's not that open to receive. Sometimes there is Ochar B'Panim. The Kodesh Baruch Hu, it's Kaviyachol, is a little closed off, but The Shechina is fully open. The aperture is fully open. But the highest level of the Likutey Moharan is panim b'panim. Full exposure, full reception. I try not to drink paint stripper.
Right.
I try.
Oh, my grandmother used to drink that diet so she lived till 96.
And probably she had no paint inside. So Rabbeinu says that when a Yid gets the madrega of Emunah, that Rabbeinu will explain later, what is happening through his eating alone is the unification of Kodesh B'richu and the Shechina at the highest level, apin be'apin. Just a regular Jew sits, eats a Suda in the middle of the week. I'm not talking about Shabbos Suda, I'm talking about Yom Tov, I'm not talking about anything. Just regularly sitting, eating scrambled eggs. This causes Yichud Kodesh B'richu Shechina, apin be'apin. The Rebbe says, but it has to be that the food that is being consumed is purified for human consumption. This is what we explained last week. Now, the purification of the food for human consumption means not if it's organic, it's not organic. This is not the point. The point is that the way that you eat the food is already purified. We know that the food, to get to us, has to go through many, many processes of purification, of separating the good from the bad, the ikar from the tough, and stuff and so on. I mean, you plant wheat. You can't eat wheat. First of all, you have to grow it, you have to cut it, and you have to separate it, and so on and so on. Then you have to grind it, and the whole. It's a long process. Each step of the way is a beer. It's a purification. Only the good passes on. This is for us a simon that when we eat it, it's another step of purification. In fact, it's the ultimate step of purification. Obviously, if the steps before were not done properly, if a person eats bread from wheat that grew in a field that the owner of the field did not leave teah, did not leave a swath of untouched sheaves of wheat to the aniyim, to the poor people. So the whole field, there's something unpurified. No matter how it'll go, it's already now. If you didn't give maasros, again, you're eating. Food is mixed. There's mixed. Truma, and there's truma gedolah. With all these things, that means that the food that you eat was not purified. So, but ultimately, once you're eating a food was 100% kosher, trumas, maasros, the whole thing, and it comes to you, okay, and you eat it with the proper bracha before and after. And brachas are not small thing. The Ilchos bracha is not an easy thing at all. But ultimately, when you eat it with the right kavanah. What is the right kavanah? The way that whatever it is, as we said, the Rabbeinu says in beginning of the next seif that we're going to learn, he says the beer of the machal v'yadei emunah, the purification of the food is through emunah. What does it mean? When a person, according to what you believe, in other words, according to what is the reason you're eating? That's the kind of purification that you're affecting to the food that you're eating. There is obviously the physical purification, where the nutrients, whatever it is, give life to the body, and the refuse, goes out. But spiritually, where does the life force? Where's the life force of the food that you're eating? Where does it go? Is it going up? To bring about or not? If you're eating in order, for an Epicurean delight, you're a gourmet. You're eating because you want to enjoy the taste of the food. That's the reason why you're eating. Then you're taking down the food. There's no fakir. The klippos have, they suck from that achila. The klippos is the thing, these are like covering on the Shechina or on Kudsha B'chu, as it were, and it causes either panim or achar. This is when it means that either, that the whatever it is that you're holding, if it's panim, it's an achar, it has another side that various the person does, or the lack of emunah the person has, or the person eats for the wrong reason. What it caused, if you want to just bring the bottle, because Moshe wants it to be clear. He wants a clear eyesight, line of sight. So that causes a dimming of a certain surface, of whatever, the food, of the kedusha, and this is called achar. From there, the klippos can suck. So the klippos want you to eat, to enjoy. Now the thing is, you're allowed to eat tasty food. No problem with that. But what is the reason why you're eating? A true emunah of the eating is when you eat in order to have koyach to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the kind of, if you have this kind of emunah, this emunah provides the food, the life force of the food that you're eating, with a goal, with a target. This is where the koyach goes to. Okay. Question is, how do you get to full emunah? I can say, I'm eating, to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but the truth is that, is it good? Is not, I want it, I don't want it. כבוד הרב, אנחנו נצטרך כאן את זהו זה. I don't know why it's not working. He has the timer. Okay. This is sure. So זה על שעון. זה על שעון, זה לא יעזור לך. זה עובד על שעון, זה שעון שבת. Anyhow, so now Rabbeinu says this purification of the food depends on emunah. When a person purifies the food from the bad and from the klipot, then the food is purified.
How does it depend
So,
on emunah?
Because emunah is,
Emunah?
yeah. How do you eat the food? With what kavanah, do you eat with emunah that Kosh Baruch Hu gave you the food, and the food can serve you or be against you according to how you eat it, and with what kavanah you eat it for.
We don't know.
It said that, but what we're saying here, the emunah is that you don't know, you cannot prove. Everybody speaks about Vata. Emunah means that you believe. How do you know that the food is correct? How do you know that the food will go to what you believe in? How do you know? You don't. No. You, by the fact you believe it. You believe it. The emunah. You don't know. You just believe it. And with the emunah, that causes the food to be purified. Now Rabbeinu says, how do you achieve this emunah? And it's very good at what you're saying, that you say that emunah is something you don't know, right? That's what you said just now.
You're giving examples you know.
Now Rabbeinu says as follows. Ki ha'emes, the truth is, ma she'igbil Hashem yitbarach la'asechel ha'enoshi she'yochal lavin, everything that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu has constricted for the human mind to be able to understand. It's a great mitzvah to sharpen your mind and to understand it. You should understand it properly. On this it is said, you should know what to answer the heretic. Rabbeinu says, there's a difference between the riddles, between the mind pretzels, between the things that you cannot figure out. There is a kasha that a person can understand the teretz on it. On this kasha, it is said you should know what to answer the apikaris, the heretic. V'yesh kasha, however, there's another level of problems, of kashas, of mysteries, of unknowns, on things that you can't figure out. It's not possible for the human mind to understand the reason, to understand what the answer is. It's a riddle that you cannot figure out the answer. In the future, the teretz will find out. These kind of kashas, a person is not allowed to look into and try to figure it out. And if he doesn't, just drown in it. It's like quicksand. He'll just get lost. Okay, so comes the question: what is it? What kind of kashas you can understand that there is a teretz, even if you don't understand yet? But it's possible, it's feasible for the human being to understand. And what kind of kashas is not possible for a human being to understand? The answer is anything which is within creation, the actions of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. There's an answer. There's an answer in this world. Questions that arise from the conduct of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. The way he leads this world, the answers in the Torah for everything. You need to know. You need to know Torah, but anything that has to do with in this world, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Whatever it is, not everybody knows it, because not everybody knows the Torah, to that depth. But ostensibly, you could know, if you really know Torah through and through, Nigla and Nistar in great depth, you can find the answer. For instance, why did the Holocaust happen? How can you possibly understand that, right? So, Victor Miller, which I'm sure you're familiar with, said that to say that we don't understand why the Holocaust happened is apikorsis.
Is it what?
Apikorsis. If we say that you can't know why it happened, it's apikorsis, it's heresy. Why? He says the entire Europe was becoming fry. The whole Europe. In Yiddishkeit. Yeah. The guys in yeshivas used to learn yeshivas, go outside, smoke cigarettes on Shabbos. The entire Europe was going down the drain. If it would have gone longer, there would be left no Jewish life in Europe.
That's the only way to stop it.
So he said it's like a cancer. He said it's a tumor, it's a malignant tumor, And the only way to treat the medical tumor is to take it out. An operation to take it out. And when a tumor is taken out, obviously some healthy tissues around it, is cut with it. So he says that's the reason for the Holocaust. There's a Godel Batera who is saying, Chazon said it differently. Chazon said, I don't have an answer for this. He says, but all I know is that when a tailor, takes out a yarn for a certain measurement and cuts it, I know he's about to make a suit. He doesn't leave it on the roll. Takes it out, he cuts it, means he's going to, in other words, so there is anything that has to do with the conduct of Kodesh Baruch Hu in creation, mitzad his ma'asim, because Baruch Hu's deeds. It is possible not everybody knows it, but it's possible for a human being to find out the answer. Got to learn, got to go in depth into it. Judaism is not afraid of questions. As long as the question ends with a question mark, and it doesn't end up with an exclamation mark, now it's really a question. It's not an answer. It's not a huh. So you can find an answer, but if you're willing, you search for it, you'll find it. You can find an answer. The Rebbe says, look, sometimes the person is a state that he does not understand the questions, that the roots of the routes of his seichel become clogged up, and he doesn't understand. Then he gets a shtickle heresy by himself inside him. Like, maybe I don't. Whatever it is happens. So, but the thing is that when it opens, it's possible to find an answer to that. Not because you should know what you will answer to the heretic. Sometimes the heretic is somebody else. Sometimes the heretic is within you. That because it's inside yourself. You can give an answer. But the questions that have to do about the Kodesh Baruch Hu himself, as it were, this we can give no answer. It's not possible to find answers for that. When you're saying Kodesh Baruch Hu knows, Kodesh Baruch Hu remembers, he knows, he remembers. We don't know who a Kodesh Baruch Hu is, as it were, and we don't understand what does it mean that he remembers, and we don't understand what it means that Kodesh Baruch Hu knows. We don't understand that. If you ask why Kodesh Baruch Hu did something, why the world is like this, why these things in the Bria are going a certain way, it's possible to find answer to each and everything. Not about Kodesh Baruch Hu himself, as it were, it's not possible. If you're asking a question about HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, this is the kasha. You'll never find any answer. But if he says, "Oh yeah, at darkecha," I should know your ways. No, show me. Okay. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says this. You can only from Achoraim, right? Only from the Achoraim, not from the Ponim. That's exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him. Not Ponim, but Ochar. This you can get. Moshe Rabbeinu, that's the highest asaga of any human being ever, can perceive the Kodesh Baruch Hu b'chinas Achoraim when it's dimmed, when it's covered, when it's limited, when it's constricted. Even this, Moshe Rabbeinu, but when you want to understand about the Kodesh Baruch Hu himself, this is kashas that there's no way to find a answer. Rabbeinu in other places saying that the kashas that you can find that you know how to explain, and to a heretic, somebody else or yourself, is kashas that we can comprehend. Because Baruch Hu says anything that Kodesh Baruch Hu is limited so that a human mind can understand, it's a mitzvah to understand. But the kashas that are unanswerable, those kashas that are endless, which means there's not enough time in the world to give a teretz on this kasha. There's not enough time in the world to give an answer on the limitless kasha, on the endless kasha about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You can't give a teretz to that. No, that's not it. Why they happen, you can find the teretz. But about the Kodesh Baruch Hu himself, you can't find any teretz. You can't understand it.
Right? Like an ant can't understand the curse, right?
Yeah. The Baal Tanya gives a very vivid mashal. And he said, you can't understand the Kodesh Baruch Hu just as you cannot put your hand inside your head, inside your brain, and touch a thought. A thought. Same way a human being cannot understand Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's a physical hand trying to touch a thought, a spiritual thought. Not shaykh. It's not too deep for us. It's not just too deep for us. There are many things that are too deep for us, in the causes of this world that is possible to understand, that for us it's too deep. The cautious about a Kodesh Baruch Hu means that is by definition not understandable. Not possible to understand it.
Even through Kabbalah.
No, everything, nothing, no way. No way. These you should stay away from. These guys should stay away from. And it says, and anybody who looks, anybody says, I'm a smart guy. I'm knowledgeable, whatever it is. I'm going to look into it. I'm going to figure this out. This pasuk says anybody who enters her gate, the gate of this kasha, the gate of this chachma, the gate of this, of trying to understand the Kodesh Baruch Hu, as it were, because it's a person who goes in it will get lost, will sink in this quicksand of. Yeah. Rabbi Akiva, Ben Zoyma, and Acher, and he's the one that came out. And this is they came in a level that.
Wait, what does that mean? They went to the
Beseder, that means that even to the level they got to, which is obviously a level that you can find a teretz. You see, Rabbi Akiva did find a teretz. What did they do? They got to a level of Olam Yetzirah. You saw Malach Matat, who is sitting there in Olam Yetzirah, and he is an angel is so big that the bottom, the legs of Malach Matat, as it were, are in Olam Asiyah in this world. What? The Olam Asiyah of this world, the entire universe of Asiyah. The body of Malach Matat is in Yetzirah, in the Olam Yetzirah. The head of Malach Matat is in Olam Abriya. In other words,
how do you see that?
What?
How do you see that?
So Ad Kadei Kach, and because in Olam Yetzirah they're all the Malachim, and they're all singing. And the conductor of all the Malachim is Malach Matat. And he's sitting there. He is Sar Shel Olam. He is the prince of the world. He is the one that is Memuna. He's in charge of this world. That's Malach Matat is the 6 days of the week. Shabbos is. So they came to this Madrega, and they fell into a kasha because they see a melech. They see somebody who controlled this world. So three of them got confused. The Acher B'chlai came to a conclusion. Okay, there are two, there are two powers to be. Because Baruch is Malach Matat, and he fell completely into heresy. One of them died. One of them went crazy. But Rabbi Akiva found a teretz, which means that to begin with, it was an extremely, extremely high level. It was mamish dangerous to get there. But it's possible to find a teretz. Rabbi Akiva found a teretz. There's Malach Hashem Tzvakos. That's what Akiva said. What is Tzvakos? Armies, Tzvakos. But he says, Ois hu b'tzvadilei. He is a general. This Malach is a general in the army of Kadosh Baruch Hu. Malach Matat is a general. You see a general, right? Well, that's Malach Matat. Malach Matat, the angel Matat, the minister of the world. He says he's just a general in the army. That's it. He's general in the army of Kadosh Baruch Hu. The other ones could not perceive that. That's what I said. That Malach Matat is just the major general of a Kadosh Baruch Hu's army. Well, it's huge.
Yeah,
To the point that the other couldn't stand the light of Malach Matat. Yeah, but they went after this Madrega. They went after the Madrega because everything that is a koyach of a person to understand, it's a mitzvah to understand. But you have to be able, to be. You see, the others failed. The Rebbe Akiva succeeded. But to understand the Kadosh Baruch Hu himself is not possible. Don't even start. He says you cannot be samech on your mind. Only you have to rest it on emunah. You have to, lean and strengthen it with emunah. Just believe it. That's it. Here comes your kasha. Your kasha. Wait. You said that emunah is something you don't know. And Nosson brings up this kasha a little bit differently. And he says, first, he speaks about, how do you purify your food? By emunah. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu starts talking about das. Everything you can understand, it's a mitzvah to understand. Anything you cannot understand, you don't should even ask. Only straight emunah, right? So, the emunah is only something you can't understand. So what is the das doing here? That's what Nosson asks. You asked. Nosson says that really the beginning is always emunah. And when a person rests himself, is building himself on emunah, the foundation of emunah, he becomes so strong in it that he's zeicher to understand the das in this emunah. You see that it is so. Anybody that believes in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that works on it, you get to the level when you just look around you and you say, obviously, Kadosh Baruch Hu created all this. It can't exist otherwise. But in the beginning, you go this way, you go that way, right? But once, okay, let's see, but once, first you begin with emunah. But as you get deeper and stronger in emunah, you're zeicher to see what you believe in. By the way, for good and for bad. If people want to see the Jews as the problem of the world, that's what they'll see, because they believe it. If people want to believe in communism, they'll see it. Everything has to be that way. My grandmother, Shalom, in her youth, she used to be a socialist. She was born in 1900. 1900. This is when she was born. She was a socialist. Her grandfather was the Rav of Vishnitz. He was the Rav of Vishnitz, not the Rebbe, but the Rav. Her grandfather. She was a socialist. And she told me, he said, anybody who's young, a young person, and he's not a socialist, he has no heart. She said, however, any grown-up that still believes in socialism has no mind. Has no mind, has no seichel. No. But the point is that, but nevertheless, she kept on preaching to the grandchildren, anybody who would hear, remember we are Ein Neklach the Rebbe Evli Melech. and the Enikel of the Ramon, the Enikel of the Shlaka. She wasn't even from, but she kept on drinking. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. You know, so you say it. Yid is a Yid. Don't understand. Kasha, you cannot. It's an neshama for Yid. What can you do? But the point is that wherever you believe in, you'll end up seeing it with your own eyes, as if you know it. And Reb Nosson explains that when your emunah is fortified with the das in it, that is in it, the emunah becomes much stronger. Not only that, but when you get the das of the emunah, you're zeicha to understand the very same way when I believed initially, I didn't know what the seicha was, what the das was, right? Just believed it. Emunah is without das. And I was zeicha to das. Same way, I didn't know that there's a das. I didn't know that the same you should know, beyond this das, there's a higher emunah. And that emunah also has das. And once you reach that, that is emunah above that. And that emunah has das. The mitzvah is always more emunah, more emunah, more emunah, and you get the das that gives it, that pours concrete in the foundations of the emunah. Arena says, emunah is without das, you can fall off. Something's going to shake you, suddenly really rattle you. I don't understand what it is. And I remember, my father-in-law, he grew up, in a Reform family, a Reform family. So he had a friend, and this friend was married to a goiter. The friend was married to goiter. Yeah, it was very common in the 30s, 40s, 50s. It was very, and they had a son. They had a son. When that son, they had a summer camp that they went to, and my father-in-law's friend was the head counselor, and the whole family was involved in that, like a bungalow colony kind of thing. And there was a storm with rain, whatever it is, and the electrical wires, were torn. And that boy, he was 17, was gorgeous, was a great baseball player, the whole thing, whatever. And he slipped, and he got electrocuted and died. In the end, my father-in-law was smashed. He was shattered. I remember he came to me and he said, listen, I want to tell you something. I don't want you to answer. That's how he came to me. And I want to tell you something, and I don't want to hear an answer from you. So, okay. He said, he went to his rabbi, his Reform rabbi, Rabbi Ronnie. Okay? Today is Rabbi Chris, or Krista, whatever. But those times they were still from the Rabbi Ronnie. Okay? And he said he had this kasha to him. He says, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if Hashem, whatever it is, can do this, he said to him, maybe there's no Hashem. Maybe there's no Hashem. It's inconceivable that something like this should happen when there's a higher power that looks at all. So what do you think his Rabbi Ronnie answered? No. Better than that. Better than that. Rabbi Ronnie said, maybe, because God doesn't do everything. The good stuff he does. The bad stuff somebody else does. The bad stuff somebody else does. Whoever it is. Okay, that's the rabbi. That's the rabbi's answer. Yeah, it's Acher. Poshut. Acher, what Acher says, two authorities. So when he told me that, I told him I liked your answer better than your rabbi's. I told him I liked your answer that there's no Kiviyachol no Hashem than your rabbi's answer. So what do you mean? I said the kind of God that you understand, that you think that this is who Hashem is, doesn't exist. Does not exist. Doesn't exist. It's a fiction. It's some kind of a deity that you invented. I told him, now you wake up with your friend's kid? Where were you by the Holocaust? How could you live, okay, there's God, everything, no, the Holocaust, whatever it is, but when it comes to your friend's kid, suddenly you're, whatever it is, a person and he is one of the liberators of the concentration camps of Treblinka, whatever it is. It was I don't know which camp it was. My father-in-law. No, he liberated. He was in the American army. He served the American army, and he was in the army that liberated. I don't know which concentration camp it was, but he saw it. That didn't give you a maskana that there's no Hashem. The fact that your friend's kid, that's the thing that. I'll tell you, such a God that he exists or doesn't exist according to how you can understand what he does not exist. It's a fake. I like your answer. You said there's no God. Then your rabbi's answer, which is some kind of kakamemi, steak, whatever, shtiyot, So the emuna, it's have to start with emuna. Kodesh Baruch Hu, as the Rambam says, is also oisa v'yasa l'kol ha'masim. He did, he does, and he will do all the deeds. That's what the Rambam says. Yeah. And when you believe it, Kodesh Baruch Hu gives you das, and you can climb up and up and up until and because emuna has to have das in it. Emuna, in order to be really strong, after you pass the level of emuna, you matriculate to inject das into that emuna, and now, right, seichel. And now you've gone up in the world, and you have to believe in higher things that you don't know, that you still don't know. And you strengthen the emunah in the more and more until you understand that, and you get to a higher emunah. But emunah is always, as you said, something you don't know. But it shouldn't just stay in something you don't know.
I hear the song.
B'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue about this more the next time. But the thing is that people need to understand that everything that is what is the things that you need to understand is that there are mind pretzels that sometimes you can't find the answer which way it is, and only, like, for instance, you have Tanoim. One has one opinion, and another Tano has another opinion. And we say, Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Chaim. They're both true. Well, how can it be both true? One says black, one says white, one says right, one says they're wrong. How can they both be right? The answer is that, as we'll learn a bit later, where is the source of, the Tzahor and so forth. It comes from Machlokes the Kedusha. But the thing is that the person needs to learn this. This is like Gemara and Mishnayos, has to learn all the Machlokes because they are both Divrei Elokim Chaim. Both of us should help us. We'll be Zorcha to eat with Emunah, and B'ezrat Hashem believe in the Kodesh Baruch Hu, as you said, without any das, pashut. And then B'ezrat Hashem will be Zorcha to das. And then B'ezrat Hashem will go weiter and higher and higher. As Rabbeinu says, Tavoi Tashuri Mirosh Amona. You will come singing from the head, from the top of the Emunah, the highest Emunah that there is. Rabbeinu says that Emunah, there's no Emunah greater than that. That's Emunah in the Kodesh Baruch Hu himself, as it were. In other words, all the Emunah that you had until now, obviously you believe in Kodesh Baruch Hu, but you believe in whatever feel you have. Kodesh Baruch Hu is like this, Kodesh Baruch Hu, what it is, you can't put it into words. But it's called Emunah Kodesh Baruch Hu, but it's not 100% just the Kodesh Baruch Hu clean. That's the highest of Emunah. Every Emunah, as Rabbeinu says, has a song. And when the song of that ultimate Emunah will be revealed, B'ezrat Hashem Mashiach will come, and the Gula Shleimo B'mir B'mhera B'meinu Amen.
Funny that yesterday